What's up everyone, Rose Brown, the accountant therapist here, and I have a question for you. Have you ever had a tax issue or a matter with the IRS and you're like, oh my gosh, who should I hire? Should I get an enrolled agent? Should I get a CPA? Should I get a regular tax preparer? And rightfully so, these are real concerns that any other individual may have. But what I want to do today is talk about the enrolled agent. Who are they? What do they do? What can they do for you? And what makes them so unique and valuable? Right? So to kick things off, an enrolled agent, which in short is an EA, is an individual that has been licensed by the IRS to practice before the IRS, right? They can represent clients before the IRS. Now, this individual, they've gone through a rigorous testing process with the IRS to have been granted this status. And outside of that, like I said, they're licensed by the IRS. They're not governed by state authorities. Okay, now these individuals are able to prepare and file tax returns just like any other tax professionals, right? They're able to represent clients before the IRS. They can deal with matters concerning collections, appeals, and audits, and they're able to do this not just for individuals but also for businesses, for estates, and for trusts. So their reach is a lot wider than other types of tax professionals, right? Now, when it comes down to what makes them so different, what makes them unique, right? Valuable, I would say, is the fact that they have unlimited rights to practice before the IRS. So they can represent any client in any of the 50 states before the IRS. You know, unlike a CPA and an attorney who are licensed through the state, again, an enrolled agent, they go directly through the IRS. And that also says, with them going through the IRS, they have to go through a rigorous testing process, which is to say their focus is primarily taxes oftentimes. So if you see someone with enrolled agent by their names, that means they've done some work. They know the tax code to a certain extent to where they can represent you before the IRS. Okay, so now what do these individuals do? Again, they can file your individual and business tax returns. Okay, they can deal with things concerning collections. If you have an IRS audit, if you have installment agreements that you need help with, if you have an IRS letter or notice that you've received and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I deal with this matter? You call an enrolled agent. Okay, outside of that, they're able to help you with offer and compromise, and also anything dealing with the IRS. You want to get an enrolled agent on your side. Okay, especially if you're looking for things outside of just the basic taxes, get that enrolled agent on your side. Okay, now the question then becomes, who can become an enrolled agent? Now, in order for an individual to become an enrolled agent, they have to go through, again, that testing process with the IRS. And they have a 3-section examination system where they're tested on individuals, businesses, and representation. Now, they have to pass all 3 of these components in order to get to the next step. And outside of that, let's say a person doesn't go through this testing process, the only other way for them to become an enrolled agent is if they were working with the IRS in a certain role for at least 5 years. Okay, and outside of this component here, that individual also will need to pass a background test, right? They need to have a valid social security number, and they also need to continue their education continually, right? So that's to say every year they have to keep up on the changes in the tax code, because if you as an enrolled agent is not aware of the changes, you become useless to a client. Therefore, you have to be up on it, and this is what the IRS does to make sure that enrolled agents are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And outside of that, an enrolled agent can't be slack on their own taxes. They have to be up to date. If they are operating in a business, their business taxes need to be up to date as well. All right, so just to kind of put everything together in comparison, when you have a tax preparer versus a CPA and an enrolled agent, these are different individuals, and you have to understand what they do and why you may need them. So when you are looking at a regular tax preparer, that individual may or may not be licensed, and they're limited in their representation before the IRS on behalf of a client. Whereas a CPA, that individual, they're state licensed, right? They can represent a client before the IRS, and their knowledge in accounting definitely adds value to them working with a client. And then lastly, we have that enrolled agent. So that individual, again, they're licensed by the IRS. They're able to have unlimited representation rights before the IRS, and again, they're tax focused. So a lot of what they're doing is taxes. So if you're looking for someone to help you with tax strategies, an enrolled agent might just be your best friend. Okay, so just to kind of wrap things up here, if you wanted to hire an enroll agent, or you wanted to know why should I hire an enroll agent, or what would render the need to hire an enroll agent. So if you're self-employed or you have a small business, this might be an individual you want on your team. If you have any tax debt or back taxes that you're dealing with the IRS, call these folks, okay? If you are in an audit with the IRS or you received a notice in the mail that you are confident in yourself that you can't do this by yourself, you want to call an enroll agent. And then lastly, if you want someone that's not just going to prepare your tax return and file it, but you want more from that individual, then an enroll agent will be the person that you want to call, okay? If you liked this information, if it was useful for you, definitely hit that like button, subscribe, and if you have any questions, drop it in the comment section. I myself is an enrolled agent, and I would be glad to answer any questions that you have. That's all for now, and I'll see you in the next one.